All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session of eMeet Your Design and Fashion School. But today's eMeet is different because you're not interacting with the management of the school, but you're interacting with the toppers of the school. All right, so these are the DQ Lab students who were toppers in last year, and they have joined CEPT University today. So the idea is to understand through them the academic philosophy of CEPT University. And also, if that aligns with your objectives, it would be great for you to consider CEPT as a school of your choice. So I'm going to share my screen. So today's session is a session with a difference. Um, but if you missed the previous webinars on how to write a perfect SOP and how to create an outstanding portfolio, you can go back on our YouTube channel. You could also watch this video called Navigating Design School Admissions, because that's a complex topic on how you even identify a school that's good for you. And probably Samyukta will tell you a little more about that. Um, but we would, if you'd like to, please join, click on these QR codes, scan these QR codes and join the relevant links. You will, it'll be very beneficial. Today the university in focus is CEPT University, and these are the toppers from last year. So we have Sai, who, by the way, is Karnataka CET Architecture rank 1. And in the CEPT All India rankings, he was rank 3, which is outstanding, right? And Samyukta is UC rank 511, which is again an absolutely outstanding rank, and CEPT rank 102. So Saigit has decided to pursue architecture at CEPT University, and Samyukta has decided to pursue design and communication design on that, right? So let's start off with this session. This session is going to be primarily a Q&A session, and um, we just one second. Right. So it's going to be a primarily a Q&A session, and looking forward to having this discussion with you. Thank you guys for coming over today and making time for us. I think you're in the middle of your jury, or there's jury going on, or just completed.
We have a submission next week. Yeah, submissions are going on, but it's jury season for the rest of the faculties. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So even submission is a big thing. So you'll have a lot of work going on.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
All right. So the audience that is here, y'all can ask your questions right away, okay? Because this time, this session is very different. But I'm gonna start with you guys, all right? So firstly, um, coming down to Samyukta. Samyukta, what you are pursuing, you intend to pursue communication design, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So to get into the design field, design university, so you have to take UC, right? So
Yes,
Hardeep
sir.
Kaur is asking, what is the selection process of SEPT? Do they have their own selection test, or is it solely based on UC scores? You can.
So SEPT yeah, so it's just based on your UC score. So, and of course, most of you will be familiar. Yeah, UC is just your theory marks and then sketching, and that's all they really care about. They're more focused on that. A lot of other schools require a portfolio and an interview and a very long process, but CEPT is mostly focused on your academics because the philosophy of the school is more. It's more design plus technology almost. So their focus is more on an exam like UC versus what you already know or portfolio that you have.
Okay. Tushita Gandhi is asking the same question for architecture. What's the process for architecture?
So the process stands very similar, very technological. So basically your NATA score and your board score, 50-50, both are accounted. So that's about it.
All right. So now, how do they compile the ranks?
For
I think
UCs,
it's just, I think for both, it's just whoever applies. So I actually come here in June and asked, what, I mean, in April, and asked, if I had a chance. And they told me that they couldn't really tell me because it depends on who applies every year and then who accepts their acceptance if they get in. So they can give you like a ballpark figure, but it really depends. It's just whoever applies, what their UC or NATA score is, and then you just get a rank just based on that, purely based on that.
All right, that's cool. So the answer is this. So once the UC and the NADA results come out, there is a window for your applications. Within that time, you need to apply, and all those who apply will get a rank, right? And based on that rank, the selections happen. So Tushita and Hardeep, I hope your question has been answered. But when did this application process happen for you guys?
so
So back in April, for design it was in April because we had UC it was in Jan. We got the results in March, and I think we opened around a month later, and it was a 2 to 3 week window.
for architecture, since NATA became a 3 month long process, the examinations were held over 3 months. I think our application started around May. I may stand corrected for that, but we got our result on August 15th.
Okay, okay. All right, so those are the timelines for you. Nihal Srivastava is asking, is there a cap on the number of students per concentration, per subject? Yeah, so
There is.
how many
So
design seats are available?
right now there's 80. Actually, there's 4 different faculties. We represent 2 of them. But if you're interested in planning, which is urban design, I think there's 40, or is it? It's 40, right?
80.
80 now.
80 or 40.
It's either 80 or 40 for planning, which is urban design. They have technology, which is civil engineering. There's 40 students there. And I think architecture is now 120 students.
Okay. Yeah, so Nihal, I hope that's answers your question. So Hardeep Kaur is asking, do they also look into your 12th board percentage? Does it affect in any way the selection process for BDES? This is a question for you, Samyukta.
It doesn't, and I'm really glad. I'm not like genuinely all they want is your UC marks. They do require you to pass boards, of course, and I think that's a 50% cutoff. But besides that, it's just your UC rank, and I think you probably know that UC doesn't really have a restriction on board marks either. If you want to enter the IITs, they have a 75% cutoff, but for UC to write UC and to intercept 50% in boards is all you need.
All right, but that's not the same case for architecture, right?
It's not the same case. Both depend a lot.
All right, so boards matter a lot. So to what extent do boards matter, Sagit?
50-50, half NATA,
Okay.
half boards. You
So
can't skimp out on each other.
what was your, if you remember your NATA score and your board score, can you just give us an idea?
My board score was 94% and my NATA score was 181.
Yeah, so 181 is absolutely outstanding. Probably some of the highest in India, and that's amazing that you got that score. All right. Soumya Kiran is asking, what is it that you like about CEPT design? What were the reasons that drove you to choose CEPT? Uh,
Oh,
Samyukta.
uh, all right. So actually, design is a little bit newer at CEP. So if you're like apprehensive about it, I understand that. So was I. But I visited campus before, after submitting my application, and honestly, it's really, really nice. Like the sort of vibe you feel here, the way the buildings are designed, like you sort of learn something new about the place itself every day. The people are really nice. Like I feel like every single person at the school is incredibly interesting. You can learn something from everyone, whether they're a student or a faculty. I also really like the way that our modules are sort of structured. Also, something new this year that our seniors didn't have is that we have allied courses. So besides the common module in which all 300 students sort of you're mixed into little groups and you learn together, the allied studio means you only study with students from your faculty. And they chose to do that because they realized that students weren't really learning enough about their own discipline after foundation year was over. So in that, I learned a lot more about design. We just finished our product design module, and we spend a lot of time in the workshops. and now we're doing visual communication, which is what I want to focus in anyways. And it's really, really fun. It's interesting. And so I think the best part about CEPT, in my opinion, is that they take student feedback. They realize that, hey, this isn't working, let's change it. They used to have an interior design discipline that they removed because they realized it wasn't working, it wasn't viable. So I know that, if they realize something is going wrong, they'll fix it. And so all the students will be okay.
And they used to have systems design as well,
I
right?
think they did. I don't think they do anymore.
So, yeah, so that systems design was converted to this general design. So if we look at CEPT University as a whole, they have communication design, they have product design, they have architecture, they have urban design, and they have civil engineering, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So these are the 5 feet. So it all seems to be very much around the construction and buildings and environment areas. Is that correct? So,
I would say,
yeah, go
like,
on.
even though they're totally different, but here other faculties as well. Like, there's a lot of transdisciplinary learning that happens between the faculties, and it's not solely focused like, okay, one part of campus is technology based. I think entire campus is really creative. So
And that's what's nice about Common as well, because we get to interact with students from other faculties and other professors as well. So it's not like I'm studying design and I only know about design. No, I know what the architecture students are doing as well. And I learn a little bit about that as well. It's nice.
I think that's the beautiful part about the first year, because in the first year everyone's put together, right? Yeah.
yes.
So just for the audience's understanding here, the BDS program is a 5-year program, right? So the BDS program at CEPT is 5 years, the BArch program at CEPT is 5 years, and there's a reason for that. The first year is a common foundation for all the branches, right? So do you sit with the so do does the technology guys also sit with you, the civil engineering students? Yeah. So that's the
Everyone.
so that's the transdisciplinary experience that you're getting, because you have technology, you have urban design, you have communication, like people with different interests are in the same class. The second year is stream specific foundation, right? That's what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. And then it's the third, fourth, fifth years, which are the specialization.
Also, I'd like to mention another nice thing about my field in particular is that SEP doesn't require you to choose between product and communication. So they now offer both product and communication studios, but students can choose either of them. You can take a mixture of both product and communication. You can only take communication, only take product, depending on if you're there is a selection process for studios, but if you get through your interview and you're fine, they don't require you to only take one or the other. So that's also kind of really awesome. A lot of schools force you to choose a major, and it makes sense, but SEP doesn't.
All right. So, Saigit, what
Yes.
made you choose?
Um,
What made you choose it?
um, I've always wanted to visit CEP, but I guess that opportunity never came. But I was always enamored by how CEP was being spoken about outside, and I guess a certain part of me wanted to explore that like that curiosity in me wanted to explore that side as well. But then coming to campus and then seeing how the working environment is, seeing how the campus is, the campus life, it really really inspired me that there's nothing else available in India that caters the same.
There's nothing like it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so Swati and I had the opportunity to visit CEP last year, and we're visiting again this Saturday. But I think the campus is very beautiful, and especially what I liked the most was the central library building. Yeah, so that I thought was absolutely amazing. Right. So just so you know, there's a visit to Ahmedabad being organized, and a few students who could make it have opted for that. So we're trying to organize a visit to CEPT as well, and we'll keep everyone updated on that visit to CEPT. Having said that, let's proceed with a few more questions. We're done with Soumya Kiran's question. Arya Gupta is asking, are there any interviews for the architecture program?
So basically, like to get into CEP, you don't
Yeah,
need
to get
an
into.
interview. To
Mhm.
get into, you don't need anything. It's based on merit.
Okay, okay. And same for design.
Yeah, it's just merit based.
All right. Nitya Murlidhar is asking, and this question is directed to you, Saiki. Um, what made you choose CEPT? You surely had a vast choice of colleges in front of you. Now, you already answered why you chose CEPT, but what were the other college options for you?
Since I'm from Bangalore, I did consider a BMSCA and RVCA. So yeah, those two were my top
All right,
options.
all right, all right. And yeah, but being rank one, you could have chosen anything. So
Basically.
I'm glad you chose Septo. Um, Soul Sisters asking, can you please elaborate about SEPT? All right. So just to recap for you, SEPT is a university in Hyderabad, sorry, in Ahmedabad. I get all riled up sometimes, but yeah, SEPT is in Ahmedabad. It is one of the oldest architecture schools in India, and it started in the 1940s, and it is a state private university, isn't it?
Sort of.
Uh, yeah, I think so.
I think it's semi-government, I think. And but I think the architecture aspect of it is sort of state funded. We're not clear on
We're
that.
not
Not
sure.
quite.
Yeah. Being one of the oldest, so if you go through the UGC list, it's a state private university, right?
Yeah,
But it typically functions like a government university.
pretty
And
much.
because of its legacy, um, their legacy for since the 1940s is to be a school of excellence, and they kept the fee structure very low, where it's quite affordable in terms
Very
of
reasonable.
very reasonable the fee structures, because they don't want the fee to be a constraint for anybody, right? And they just want to attract the best talent from across India, and that's how they got Sai Geet and Samikta there, all right? But typically, it's a 5-year program. Whether you take It's a 5-year bachelor's program, whether you take architecture or design, it's a 5-year bachelor's program, right? So Reva Tengshe is asking, do you think I should consider SET over other private colleges for BDes communication design, considering it's
Hmm.
more known for architecture? All right. So now this is for you, Samyukta. I think very relevant question, because SEPT is known for architecture,
It
right? It's
is.
known for architecture. And then why do you go and choose communication design, since there's so many schools out there?
It's funny because I had the exact same question last year, and I have zero regrets about choosing CEPT. It is newer. Communication design is also newer, but again, what I mentioned before, how CEPT they notice something, whether something's working or not, and they change it.
All right.
Also, all my seniors seemed really, really happy to be here. That helped, and they're stressed because of juries right now, but I know they still want to be here. They have no regrets about coming here either. Additionally, because of its legacy, CEPT is able to attract a lot of professors from around the world, not just India, from around the world. We have NID alumni teaching here. We have CEPT alumni, a lot of CEPT alumni teaching here, actually, which implies that they like the school enough to come back and teach. So there's also that. So I like our professors a lot. So that also helps. And the kind of people that this university attracts, it's a good peer group. So again, worth it.
Awesome. Awesome. Reva, I hope that's answered your question. Um, there's a question for you, Saigit. How many attempts
Yes.
of Nata did you take?
I took 3 attempts.
All 3 attempts, yeah.
Yeah, all three.
But you did pretty well in all 3 attempts, because I remember the first attempt itself was a very high score, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember your scores in each of the attempts?
I got 169 in my first attempt, 181 in my second, and 180 in my third.
Right. So 169 is also an absolutely mind-blowing score. 180, 181, of course, that's very unique in India. Yeah. Uh, so 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 yeah. Nitya Murlidhar is asking, Saigit, any tips on how to crack Nata?
Um, the tips I would say is keep sketching. I would say because I was the part of the batch that was introduced sketching after COVID. So we had to sketch during the exam, and I didn't sketch throughout like my preparation for the like 11th and 12th. So once we got the information that okay, sketching is part of the exam this time. So I had to really work hard to improve my sketching. So I'd say sketching and being consistent is pretty good tip I would give.
It's important for university as well. All our
Yeah,
modules are sketching based.
yeah, and
It
not
helps with that as
only
well.
sketching, I would say. I mean, cracking the exam is a different sort of thing skill you should have, but I would say developing other skills as well sets you apart on campus as well. So you're muted.
Yeah, you said sketching, I mean, that sets you apart on campus. What
Yeah.
do you mean by that exactly? Can you elaborate?
um like a lot of people here, they have a lot of my peers, they have unique talents. I mean, some of them are really skilled in softwares like Blender and VFX. Some of the others do great filmography. Some of them play like even play a guitar or play music. So something that sets you apart also does help sometimes.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Okay. Right. So Nitya, I hope that's some tips for you. Manya Gupta is asking, can you talk about the peripheral subjects you take along with the design course?
Ah, should I answer that?
Yeah, yeah, you can do that.
Like I said, we have an additional subject that our seniors didn't have. I know a lot of universities, design and in general, have like 4 to 5 courses a semester. But for CFP, which is our Common Foundation program, we only have 3 classes. But they're very, very heavy with regard to course load. So just because it's 3 doesn't mean we have much time. Common is again with all of us, it's a mixed batch sort of situation. It's mostly sketching based and it just teaches very foundational skills that are relevant in all 4 fields. We also have Allied, which is so these are the 2 main courses I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're the 2 main courses. So Allied is with your own batch, your own faculty, and those are more specific skills. Again, foundational skills, but more specific to your specific faculty. And then we have RWC, which stands for Reading Objects, Writing Crafts, and that is more of a reading, research, writing sort of class. And it's not really, it's like English, except it's a lot more technical. They'll teach you how to, if you have to write for like a design or architecture magazine, or if you have to submit a brief or a draft, or if you have to submit a research paper, if that's what you sort of do in future. So it's very technical writing. It has to be, it's a professional university, so it just teaches you to be a more professional writer, reader, etc.
yeah. And
Interesting.
when we say faculty, we don't mean like our faculty as teachers.
Oh
At
yeah.
CEPT here, normally in other schools it would be Department of Design, but
Right.
here we call it faculty. So the faculty includes everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. You know what? It comes so naturally to us that we don't realize that others think differently. Um, Nihal Srivastava is asking, how's the internship scene at CEPT? Does the institute assist in placing for internships?
I think, yeah. I mean, as of now, we've gotten a few internship opportunities. Like, I think the student counselor on campus do send in some internship opportunities
As
to
and when they
us.
receive them.
Yeah.
I will say though, for the design program, as far as I know, the placement cell is not really, it's there, but people don't use it. It's available, it's there, but students, I've heard that students don't usually use it because you're here for 5 years. Usually you'll figure out what your niche is, you'll figure out what you want to specifically work in, and the university provides support in getting a job or an internship, but they don't really call companies to campus because it just doesn't work. Students usually find work on their own, and then if there's any support or assistance required, like a letter or anything like that, they'll provide it.
Okay. I also think that the approach that SEP takes is very different in terms of the creativity, building those skill sets, building your thinking skill sets, right? And I think that makes you very focused and on what you want. So in a sense, you kind of identify what you want to do, and it doesn't matter which company comes on campus. You decide, okay, I don't want to sit for that company, I want to sit for this company, and you literally go and search for what you want.
Precisely. So the campus placement cell doesn't really make too much of a difference because people don't really use it anyways.
Okay. And I think that's a good way to go about it, because you should be in control of what you want to do, right? Rather than depend on the school to give you what options there are in the market.
That said, the connections you make at school help a lot. So if you realize you want to work in a specific field, if you talk to seniors or classmates and interested in the same things, or if talk to a professor or something, that will help. Connections help a lot more than in any placement cell could.
Yeah.
And most of like the once they graduate, a lot of them get into CEPT alumni companies and firms.
Also that, yeah.
That's a pretty popular scene right now.
Yes.
Okay. So Sudha is asking, what are the classes like, for BARC? For BARC,
All right.
theory, studio, field trips, so
So
Field trips.
it is really interesting actually. So as Samyukta said, like one part is a common module which is all together, but we have an allied module, and basically our allied modules with our faculties again. So basically for the past 2.5 months we've been on campus, we've gone to various sites, we've sat on sites, we weren't allowed to use our phones. We were told to sit and sketch. We were told to observe, and then we were told to come back, sketch it, draw from memory, and that was really interesting. And there's a lot of extra site visits or sketching trips that happen on campus as well, which is really fun. And I mean, how the life of BARC is at campus. For CFP, I would say it's very similar for everyone. Like everyone has the same work, but once you move to your upper studios, you get to choose your own studios, and that's an interesting process because you get to choose what you like. Like, do you want to go into futuristic design? Do you want to see how AI might control the world of architecture, or you want to go to the traditional hand drafting methods? You can choose what you want to do, and that's an interesting aspect as well.
You guys have a lot more drafting than we do, though, for Allied.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning, a lot of drafting.
all right. Okay. Right. The next question is for Samyukta. So Hardeep Kaur is asking, is it mandatory to choose a design discipline in the CEPT application? And do they expect you to stick to it after the foundation course, or can you shift?
So I actually don't remember if I selected between product and communication or if that was even an option. But you do have to select your degree. You have to decide between design and architecture, and you submit documents accordingly, obviously. But they don't hold you to anything. Like I said before, like you don't have to choose between product and communication. You can take both studios depending on the professor who's taking the course or if it aligns with your interests. So you'll get a degree either way. You don't have to only take product or communication, which is really nice because that's just the world, the way the world works right now. It's better to have varied skills, and then you can work in any industry you like.
Yep, absolutely. So Siddhi Santosh is asking, is there a sort of benchmark or cutoff for your board marks for CEPT architecture?
I would say this year a good score would be 90 plus and above 165
Yeah.
for like my batch.
Yeah. So one important thing to note here, Siddhi, is that CEPT attracts students from all across India. All right, and it attracts the absolute top students from all across India, um, primarily because of the environment, because of the quality, because of the legacy, and all of that, and that's why it tends to get quite challenging to get into CEPT. Um, so being, for example, what we've noticed for architecture, like in all the states across India, if you are in the top, say, 20 ranks, you have a good chance of getting into CEPT. All right. Beyond that, it gets a little challenging because there's the students from all across India who go there. Okay. Pujashri is asking, what all India rank is needed in USEED to get admission into CEPT?
Um, so again, one can't really put a benchmark on it because it depends year to year. Because see, technically there's 80 seats, so like You could say 80, but obviously not. I think most people pick CEPT after the IITs, and then if some people who get into NITs will take that. But it's usually the top choice. If you're going through the UC process, that's the top choice of school. That said, I think 7 or 800 was the cutoff this year, something like that.
Yeah, so 7 or 800 at in UC is again very challenging to get. So, Pujashri, that's a good score to target. Um, so we have another question. What is the minimum percentage required for boards to get in? So Alpha Players Gaming is asking this question. All right. So Alpha Players, the minimum, if you're asking about the minimum percentage is 50%, right? But because of the competition, really 90% and above would increase your chances. Okay. Um, Also, Saigit, any details for the 2025 admissions for BARC that we need to know? Anything that you would.
As of now, nothing much has been released yet.
All right. So Saigit, just so they know, number one is that they keep their eye open for the application process. And Alpha Players, what we'll do is we'll keep updating you as and when it happens. As long as you're on our groups, you'll be informed. All right. But once you are aware of the process, then it's typically submission of your NATA score and your board marks, and then they create the rank list for you. All right. And then the process pretty much happens automatically. Manya Gupta is asking, can you talk about student life there? The student life, the food, the living expenses, all of that.
You wanna go first?
Okay. Okay. Campus life is great. I mean, I come to campus every day at 7:38 and I leave campus at 12 in the night.
Yeah, same.
I guess all of us do that in the first year. But campus life is really vibrant. We have a lot of fests going on. We have a lot of clubs that are active on campus. There are a lot of events that keep happening, dance performances, music performances. So it's a really vibrant and lively culture. Apart from that, the food scene here is also pretty good. Ahmedabad has a good street food scene. There's a huge street
Right
food.
outside our campus, actually, and they're safe to eat from.
Yeah, but even the campus food is great. We have two canteens and they serve amazing food actually.
Affordable as well.
Affordable,
Really
really
affordable.
affordable.
The half thali is what, 50 bucks?
Yeah, everything's
60 bucks. It's
everything's
insane.
great.
Yeah.
Um, apart from that, anything else about the student?
I also want to say that like class is hard sometimes and there are hard days, but I find myself wanting to come back every single day. And that's kind of really awesome, honestly, because I know it's helpful. I enjoy my work even if it's difficult, and I don't mind coming to camps at 7:30 in the morning and leaving at midnight. So I didn't anticipate that happening, but I quite enjoy that as well. I was also I assumed that this because it's a very academic, professional sort of school. I assumed it would be mostly just work and not much else. But I was pleasantly surprised by the number of fests that are organized, the way our seniors have time to just sort of do other things as well, and how even we have time to just go and like, sit on North Lawn for a couple of hours and talk to friends and then get back to work. So, sort of very work hard, play hard sort of situation.
Yeah, like every day I get up and I come to campus and I'm excited to learn something new because every day you learn something new, you experience something new.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Hardeep Kaur is asking, how many BDAS batches have passed out of CEPT and how are the placements so far?
Hmm. So technically, the Faculty of Design itself has been around for 34 years. We had our foundation day like a month ago, but it started out with interior design, I believe, and that no longer exists. I think product design has existed for over a decade, I believe. Communication design is relatively new, it's been around for 3 years or so. But again, it's worth taking because they know what to update and how to change syllabus and professors according to the needs of the students and needs of the industry. So I don't know much about placements, but again, most students find what they want to do, and the university provides enough support. Everyone seems really happy. We also have a lot of alumni coming back every year, either to teach a guest lecture, to teach for a semester, or to give a presentation, things like that. And they all seem to be really successful people. So I don't think that's something one has to worry about if you do well at school.
All right, right. From knowledge, I think, yeah. So the interior design program was there, like you mentioned, for 34 years, for a long time, and that was one of the top interior design programs in the country. But product design really started as product and systems design, which was primarily catering to the construction industry, products in the construction industry, and that happened for the last 6 or 7 years. And I think 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, they changed that product design to product and communication design, and then it was a little different. So like they, both Saigit and Samyukta are saying, they listen, they take the feedback, and they alter their programs accordingly. Yeah, but one thing's for sure: what you join for, you will complete with that.
Yeah, there's that.
So, yeah. So Soumya Kiran is asking, are you able to comment on the fee structure? Yeah. Could you give us an idea about the fee structure?
Is it the same? I don't know.
No, I think every year it changes
No, for it's between disciplines.
between disciplines. I'm
I
not
think it's the
sure.
same. What's yours?
No, it's the same. It's
It
this.
is the
It's the
same.
same. It's the same.
It's. Should we mention the
Yeah, yeah,
amount?
you can mention.
Sure. So we pay 4 lakh a year. It's I think 2.9 a semester. I'm sorry, 1.9.
1.9
Sorry,
semester.
1.9 a semester, I believe, which is pretty reasonable, especially for design. Most colleges take a lot more. That said, we do pay for a lot of our materials, but the stationery shop is subsidized, and so it doesn't amount to too much. We also have the hostels, which are pretty recent, and I think they're expanding those as well. But to my knowledge, most students either stay on apartments off campus, or there's a lot of PGs nearby, like a 400-500 meter walking distance, and so a lot of my classmates stay at those.
Okay.
And regarding the fees as well, I think for architecture students, there's a bunch of scholarships
A
available,
lot.
Yeah.
which they keep providing us with.
All right. All right. And yeah, so Soumya, they've answered the question on the fee structure, the hostel facilities. Hostels are how are you guys staying on hostel?
No, I'm not.
I am staying in the hostel, and I would say it's pretty. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
a.
looks nice from
It's
there.
an average government hostel. It's all right.
Yeah, it's pretty basic.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. Are there any costs that students need to plan for?
Field studio. Tell them about.
Sure. Like basically, if once you join CEPT, basically whatever trips and all that are part of your curriculum, those are necessary, and you have to pay for your stay and travel. Apart from that, yes, staying outside campus will cost and will be an additional cost. Food will be an additional cost, and apart from that, I guess nothing
It's
much.
just materials. I was told by seniors to budget something like 4 or 5K a month. Well, I haven't felt that amount yet. As modules progress and we require more physical materials, that is possible. That we might require that amount. Also, regarding the field studio, I think this year it's a 6 night trip, and they're charging us 7.5K, which feels pretty reasonable. So just because there is travel, it isn't really very expensive. They take care of that.
That's very reasonable for a week's travel.
Yes, and it includes breakfast as well, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Yeah,
get
but
lunch.
yeah, another additional cost would be like they do tell us beforehand before coming to campus to get a laptop and a digital like a iPad or a digitizer with specific requirements.
But that's common to all design.
That's common to
schools,
all
architecture.
design schools and
That's
architecture.
something you budget for anyways.
Okay. So that we've completed, we've discussed the topic about internships in BIAC. But again, Sudha's asking, how long is the internships for BIAC? What's the duration?
Right now, I don't have much clue, but basically, in your fifth year, one semester is your internship, and your other semester is your theses. So basically, one semester you can work anywhere in India, anywhere, even abroad as well. It just has to be a registered architecture firm, and the other semester you have to come back on campus and do your thesis project, your final project for BIAC.
Okay. There's someone named Clown asking, did you ever consider universities abroad, and how does CEPT compare to global universities?
Good question, actually. I did initially, but I'm honestly glad I stayed and I go here. mostly because it does feel pretty global. The way that they teach here, it doesn't feel like, it feels very, very, very different, worlds away from high school. Honestly, I like the structure here that way. The people that we get to interact with, it doesn't feel like we're only interacting with, like, a lot of universities, there's a lot of students that are local, which is cool, but like the way we get to interact with people from across the country, and a lot of students come from abroad as well, so that's pretty nice. I also like that it's affordable to study here. So again, that's another benefit. So while I consider it, I'm glad I came to SEP.
Yeah, I guess even for the abroad universities, I didn't have any specific ones in mind. Like I did know that a few good ones were in Singapore and stuff, but I majorly looked into the Indian ones only. But I would say after coming to campus, the entire campus does give off an international
It really does
university
actually.
um, vibe. Like you see students from different countries, you can see them working,
The
and
infrastructure is
yeah,
actually really good,
the infrastructure is amazing. I don't
surprising for
think
a government university.
no, but you wouldn't find this sort of infrastructure anywhere else in the
Yeah.
country, and it's on par with universities abroad. Like I remember attending an event on campus where a senior who did an exchange semester in ETF Zurich, which is the top university of architecture in Switzerland, in the world, came and told how similar ETF is to CEPT, the curriculum and how the studios work. So that also.
Yeah. Also about campus in particular, it's located in Ahmedabad, which is known to be a very hot city, but we don't really feel it as much on campus. Like it's so cleverly designed that like our buildings, we don't have ACs in most of our buildings, and we're still fine. And we're sitting at North Canteen right now, like open air, and like it's pretty nice. It's actually cooler inside than outside.
Yeah, we might regret saying this in a few months when it
for
becomes
now,
summer, but for now it is
it's pretty
it
good.
is pleasant.
Feels like Bangalore almost.
It
A little bit.
Okay, let's call you guys again after 6 months. We'll see
Might
how
be a
you guys
different
are and
story.
we'll see.
yeah, our laptop might shut down due to the heat.
All right. Next question from Shreyas, who was asking, how long did you prepare for maybe UCED or NATA when you guys were studying?
You start.
Sure. So I actually wrote all three. I wrote UC, NID, and NIFT, and I studied for I think a year or a year and a half for these exams. And then I think closer to November, December, I spent more time on my exam preparation, equal amount of time on exam preparation and schoolwork and other extracurriculars. So it does require a lot of, like, I honestly just do a lot of past papers. They help so much, and work on sketching. So if you have those down, you should be fine. Also time management, you'll be okay.
I think I spent 11th and 12th grade. I mean, I would try to come every weekend to DQ to do something or the other. Try to be productive, but most of my learning did happen in the last 6 months before my NATA exam.
You know, I'm always curious about this particular thing, you know. You mentioned that, okay, you started preparing quite ahead of time, but it almost seems that, you know, the ups and downs, the personal ups and downs, which, you know, was hard to keep yourselves motivated. But then suddenly you got yourselves motivated sometime before the exam. Uh, so what's that experience like? Do people, is that a common thing to go through these ups and downs and high and low phases and stuff like that? And how do you deal with that?
Sure. I mean, it's, there's a lot at stake, so it is stressful. So you know what you're preparing towards, but you have no idea whether everything you prepared for it, if it'll be fruitful, if you'll get into the school that you want, the program that you want. But beyond the point, there's no point like worrying too much about it. I think most people end up grinding a lot harder closer to the deadlines. Again, past papers really help, and that helps you know where you stand. So you can adjust your preparation accordingly. That helped me a lot, honestly, to know what I needed to improve on and how much more or less time I needed to put into it. So yeah, spending a lot more time on it closer to the actual exam is pretty common, I think.
So how do you know where you need to work on, what you need to work on, right? Because that's a challenge that everyone faces.
For me at least, just knowing what topics are normally covered based on what questions I got right and wrong. And like I did a lot of the DQ past papers, so they're categorized into different, like, they're categorized based on the topic. So I knew what I needed to work on, and I could watch the videos at the end as well to like see why I got an answer wrong, how to fix it as well. So that helped. So I knew what I needed more help in, what I was proficient in, etc. And for sketching as well, there's a lot of resources that I found on the site. So I just spent a lot of time on
For
that.
sketching, what did you do for sketching?
There's a lot of prompts and different questions that I found on the review side as well as class as well. So I was told like what I was doing right and wrong, and that I could sort of adjust accordingly.
Okay.
Which is all we move. So just give us 2 seconds.
Just give us a minute.
Sure.
You need to
Dinner
find
has
a
begun.
place.
All right, all right, all right. So while they get back, so it almost seems that there is a certain amount of self motivation that is really required for you to really introspect, to figure out where you're going right, where you're going wrong. Because the resources are there. They said, that they went on DQ, they found certain resources here, there's other sketches. They saw the answers and the correct answers, which topics they're from. But really, while that information is there, you need to really make use of that, right? So that's possibly um, something that's made a difference for them. In the meantime, let me look at some of the questions while they get back. We just have about 10 to 15 minutes left. So as many questions we'll do. Hardeep Kaur, what is the UC rank or score cutoff for BDAS and CEPT? So like Samyukta said, there's no real cutoff that's known, but yeah, but maybe about 700, 800 would be a possible score to target. Right. So what we were saying, Saigit and Samyukta, you know what? That there is possibly, to continue on the previous topic of how you prepared. So possibly, the resources are there, but you need to take the initiative to actually introspect, right?
Yeah.
You need to say, okay, let me look at someone else's drawings. Let me look, okay, there are answers there, there's a video explanation. Let me take the trouble to see where I'm going wrong and how to correct that, right? So yeah, so that's possibly what it is. Shreyas, thank you for asking the question. That was a good question. Clown is asking, Saigit, what was preparing for Nata like? Aside from sketching, what did you focus on? How did you balance the board prep as well?
Um, I guess whenever I was tired of studying for boards, I would pick up a piece of paper and try to sketch or do one of the DQ questions just to complete my progress. But apart from that, I would say Nata prep was pretty chill. I enjoyed the process. I didn't really want to stress the day. It was a creative exam, and so yeah.
So how did you balance your boards and
Okay, like
you
that
did
way.
pretty well on boards as well, right?
So basically, I think before my board exams, I allotted all my time for boards because boards is really important if you want to get into architecture. But yeah, I kept my preparation for NATA on the back burner for that time. But yeah,
Okay.
preparation for boards utmost importance as
All
well.
right. All right. So that's when it comes to architecture, you need to focus on your board. So Shreyas is asking, are 3 months enough for preparation for NATA to get into CEPT?
It really depends on your skill sets. I would say if you already know sketching or if you already are introduced to the field of architecture or have a general sort of knowledge about it. It really depends person to person. I can't really say if 3 months are enough.
Right, right, right. But yeah, but I think Shreyas, don't worry about that. Like Saigit said, enjoy the exam, right? You really need to enjoy it, and it's a fun exam, and you don't need to take that stress over it. Possibly the aptitude is a little stressful in trying to remember the names of the architects and the buildings. How did you work on that, Saigit?
I remember trying to I would I would go through the DQ notes, and even not only those notes, I would Google them. I would find out other buildings. I would watch short form content based on these architects, or any sort of architecture related videos. I would probably subscribe to them, or follow them, so I'd keep getting them in my Instagram feed as well. So somewhere, I guess, a part of that knowledge did get imbibed in me as well.
All right. So, which also Alpha Players is asking, Sai, what channels do you recommend to work on sketching skills?
um I'm not that sure, honestly, but I don't think I watched any sketching tutorials from YouTube. I think most of it were the ones suggested by DQ itself in the DQ Edge website.
Okay. Okay. I'm happy you said that. And that helped me get for rank one. So that's amazing. Right. So Chet is asking, what can you preferably add in the portfolio while applying for colleges? So did you guys work on your portfolio? Yeah.
Very, very much, yes.
So
Um,
what did you add?
Actually, of course, I applied to a lot of different schools. While SEP doesn't require or even ask for a portfolio, a lot of private schools do. So it depends on your interest. A lot of schools prefer that they make you like sort of give your preference. So if you want to study communication, you might show maybe an app UI design that you've done, or a graphic illustration that you might have designed. If you want to do fashion, you might show clothes that you might have stitched, or there's illustration or any work experience you might have in the field, whether it's organizing a fashion show, anything like that. So relevant experience is always, or any relevant work is always preferred. They also like if you can show foundational skills, because just because you're doing one discipline doesn't mean you don't need those other skills. So being able to show that you can draw or make models, anything of that sort, is also appreciated. And I think they like when it's sort of cohesive in a way, if you can explain why you put each piece in. So I did slides, like I put pictures on each side, as well as a short text explanation of what was on it and why I'd included it. And I tried to connect it to the school as well. Like I would say, I included this because the school is known for this, and maybe this professor would help me with this, something like that. Tied back to the school, show them why they should pick you instead of another student.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I also had to build a portfolio as well, because I took design as my fifth subject in school. And I guess that also did help me in my preparation. Like, it was a relatively much more creative subject that I did enjoy. And somewhere along the line, I learned a lot about the design field as well. And that helped me prepare for architecture.
Okay. Okay. Are there any sports facilities?
A lot. There's so many sports events happening on campus. You will find people playing football, cricket, table tennis, volleyball. There's a lot,
Badminton also in CFP
badminton.
double height. Yeah.
Basically, people whenever people want to freshen up from getting tired of working, or want to just enjoy a slow evening, everyone comes to the ground or work in their specific in their own faculty buildings. There's like space allotted, like
Yeah,
a semi-open
there's
space.
no sports building or sports area. That's really nice, actually. The sports facilities are spread out across campus. People play badminton in the CFP building. There's table tennis under the FA, the architecture building. The plaza has, I think, volleyball usually.
Yeah.
The design building
Yeah.
has the volleyball, and I think there's a net. You
Yeah,
can
it
use
keeps
it for
changing,
anything.
but yeah,
And the
all
basketball court is
sorts
near
of
South Canteen.
sports facilities are available here.
Yeah, so you don't have to travel too far to find something.
Okay. 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 So Sudha, we've spoken about the hostel and the food. Hardeep is asking, any student exchange programs in CEPT for BDES?
I do believe there are. We haven't been introduced or told about them yet. And I think previously there weren't too many spots open. You would have to have a good standing in school, of course, and show interest and be selected by the university as well. But I think they're increasing the number of seats and the number of opportunities and host schools as well now, and that's only going to increase. Also, that reminds me, we have a GPA now in CFP, so that's if you're interested in an exchange program, it's probably a good idea to keep your GPA as high as you can, so you have a good chance of being selected.
All right. Right. Arya Gupta is asking Sai, what kind of drafting work do you do in architecture?
So basically, last year, like the first CEPT Foundation program batch did not have to do anything related to architecture per se. But now they've slowly introduced certain topics that would be helpful as first years, so we could easily transition into being part of the actual faculty of architecture. So I would say drafting, we would first, like the first assignment of ours was just going on site, sketching, understanding how it is. But now, right now, the module we're currently doing, so all of us have been given a site which we visited, and we have to draft it. Like we've been given plans, we have to trace it out, but yeah, we have to measure each component. We have to check if everything's aligning. So it's really interesting. And my site, which I got, is 500 years old. So the hand drafted plans are wrong. So we have to go on site, sometimes measure, sometimes correct it. So it's a fun process.
Okay. All right. All right. We're almost running out of time and we have a lot of questions left. So I'm going to just answer some of these questions. Alpha Players is asking, Sai, do you have any ideas when the first NATA exam is for 2025? I'll answer that, Alpha Players. The NATA exam would be in April sometime. So please be ready by then. It's going to be just after your board exams. So you really need to do a lot of your preparation now. And then focus, take a break for your board exams, focus on that. And then after that, you'll have a short break to work on your NATA exam. Typically, maybe a month. The exams happen on every weekend. That's every Saturday and Sunday. You can choose that weekend, but let's say maybe a month in the first month would be an ideal time for you to take your NATA exam. Okay, at least your first attempt. Um, Alpha Players is also asking, will extracurriculars help in getting scholarship?
I remember for architecture students, there's a particular scholarship that requires you to mention your extracurriculars, but the scholarship that CEP provides to meritorious students, it doesn't require anything.
Okay. Siddhi Santosh is asking, Siddhi Santosh, your first part of your question, how did you balance your board exams and NATA preparation has already been answered, but there's another, if the follow-up question is, which stream did you choose for your 11th and 12th Saigit? You have to choose science, but what was your combination?
My combination was physics, chemistry, maths, and design.
Okay. Which school did you study at?
I studied in DPS.
All right, all right. What about you, Samyukta?
So design, they don't require you to take any specific stream. I just so happened to study physics, chemistry, math, and biology with English and French.
Okay, okay. Awesome, awesome. Matthew Sebastian is asking, what are the types of sketching questions asked in NATA?
Um, as far as I remember, one was a perspective-based question of arranging a few objects, and one was a very composition, a 2D composition. So one was a 3D composition and one was a 2D composition.
Yeah, that's a typical format, Matthew. There'll be one perspective question, one 3D composition, one 2D composition. In general, that's a typical uh, format. But did you have any material handling at your time?
We did. So as part of the new exam pattern, they had given us a few foam blocks or foam shapes, and we had to arrange them on a sheet based on like a design principle, like the Gestalt principles or any other laws of design.
Okay, okay, okay. So Matthew, you need to plan for that as well. Alpha Players is asking, the last time I checked the CEPT website, it didn't ask for any portfolio. Should I still create one? What do you recommend?
Unlikely, I think. I don't think they've changed their process anytime soon. Usually, college you hear about these things a lot more, but I really don't think so. They would have mentioned it, I think.
But tell me one thing, all right? You worked on your portfolio. Do you think that working on your portfolio helped getting yourself clear as to what you want to do, how you want to project yourself, how you want to talk about yourself? Did that come out of it?
For me, definitely, it sort of helped me learn what my interests are. And I spent time on the portfolio, and those skills, especially the foundational skills, learning how to draw specific things, to draw in perspective, for example, those help in my with my classes now. And then I also created pieces based on my own interests. I had a lot of clothing pieces, I had a lot of models. So those just help as conversation starters, or if professors know you have a certain interest, they might guide you towards specific things as well. So it definitely doesn't hurt. It only helps, I think.
All right, all right. I just sent you a short message on this platform.
Sure.
Look into that.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Should we
And
check it?
Should we type it in
yeah,
or?
you can type it in. Yeah.
Sure.
So Hasini is asking, what's the accommodation like? Except we spoke about that. It's, fairly good, but no frills, but
No.
fairly all right. What's the cost and the rules and regulations? Everyone there, they can stay out till 12 o'clock, till midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
that
hostel, I think, is till 12. Um,
hostel.
and campus is open from 7 a.m. 7 or 6? 7?
7.
7 a.m. to 12 p.m. 12 a.m. Sorry, every day. And
Okay.
during juries, we're allowed to stay all night, but that's for second year onwards. Sometimes CFP gets an exception. Like for our previous submission, we were allowed one all-nighter, and but generally just till midnight, and that is sufficient-ish.
Yeah. 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 Pretty much. Okay. Um, right. So Priya is asking, is there any way to see your guys' work or portfolio? Is there, in other words, is there any way to connect with y'all?
Yeah, our Insta handles are there. I have my portfolio still. I don't know how relevant it would be, and I made different ones for each school, but I don't mind sharing.
All right, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share their Instagram handles. So you can connect with them on Instagram and they, you know, for those of you who want to, you all can connect with them on Instagram and maybe reach out to them, right? So I hope that helps, Priya. Pujashri is asking, is completing the PYQs, DQ theory tests, DQ test, theory, and daily sketching enough preparation? How does working on PYQs help? I'm not sure. I think they have frozen, so they should get back. But yeah, Pujashri, to answer the question, at least Saigit said that he only referred to the study material from DQ Labs and that helped him get rank one. So, assuming that's enough, daily sketching. So I think to answer this, we covered this a little while ago. See, while the resources are there on DQ Edge, so DQ Edge, you take the test, it gives you suggestions where you went wrong and which topics you went wrong, and those are the topics you need to study, right? So you need to do that, and that's what Samyukta said helped her, right? Her taking the initiative to do that. The other thing that she said that helped her a lot was searching, trying and getting the inspiration by looking at other people's sketches of your peer group. So that helped as well, right? So Saikit, the question from Pujashri is completing the PYQs, DQ tests, theory, and daily sketching enough for preparation? How does working on PYQs help?
They help majorly. I remember there were a lot of PYQs that were repeated in this year's session as well. So they help a lot. I remember a few of the sketching questions that um we got were repeated from a few years down the line. So they help a lot.
Okay, all right. Shreyas Ram is asking, is there non-veg food and biryani available there?
Uh, So yes, there is a scarcity of non-veg food, but you do get if you order it online. Like on campus, you do get eggs, omelets, and stuff, but you can order and you can eat anywhere. Nothing like that.
All right, all right. Nitya Murlidhar is asking, does the program have any AI related subjects?
Oh,
Um,
L2, L3 studios might have.
for architecture, there is one studio that's pretty famous actually, and it does involve the use of Midjourney to create renders. So yeah, they're slowly integrating it.
I think the biggest challenge with schools that they are facing right now is that they already have a packed curriculum, and now with AI coming into the picture, they need to take something off and add AI there, right? So that's a play that all schools are grappling with: how much of their regular curriculum to take out and how much of AI to put in, right?
Yeah.
So Nitya, this is I'm sure something that's unknown at this point of time, but I'm glad they're encouraging AI at CEPT, and let's see how that takes plays along. Um, Shreyas is saying he's completed an AutoCAD course. Will that help in any way?
Yes, that will help. Later down the line, yeah, it will help.
Any
Yeah.
knowledge of softwares is beneficial, honestly.
All right, Shreyas, but to get into the school, it doesn't help at all. But for your admission process, it doesn't help at all. But for your learning experience, it helps. Clown is asking, uh, is there a specific style of architecture they tend towards, or is it left to you up to what you want to focus on?
Left to us. That's why we get to choose which studios we like to take. Studios, as in, when I say a studio, I mean like, in a studio there's a specific faculty, and they teach a specific, like they have a name for the studio, and basically, they have a description as well for the studio. So they talk about what they will do in the studio. So students have to uh, give an interview and put their preferred list of studios, and yeah, that's the process.
So I guess just to build up on this, CEPT has been associated with people who've defined the architecture of India, like B.V. Doshi and all that, have really defined the architecture style in India, or had very significant styles. So, but there is a lot of creative freedom that you get there, and to explore and develop your own style. And if I remember right, the central architecture building was a competition, right? They gave this competition out, and anyone could participate in the competition for building this new architecture building. And the person who won was a fifth year architecture
Yes.
student there at CEPT, and that person's design actually won, and they built it on that.
If you're
Yeah,
So
talking about the library, that's behind us
that's
right
right
now.
behind us. It's
yeah,
honestly one of the best
It's really
buildings
cool.
on campus.
I think it's one of the best buildings in India. You know, I've seen that right through and through, and I think it's an amazing building for anyone to have a look at. Um, Last question from Shreyas. So, are there gym facilities there?
On campus, no, but in specific hostels or PGs, you might find some.
There's also gyms that I think hostel students do go to
Yeah,
nearby.
yeah,
If you
like
want it, it's there.
external. Yeah.
All
But
right.
the real question is you do not get the
We're
time
not
for
gonna
it.
have time anyways. And you walk to and from accommodation enough that you get some exercise in. It's all right.
All right, all right. So Shreyas says he's a gymmer, so he's gonna make that time if possible. So Shreyas, all the best on that. And with that, let's end this particular webinar. It's been a fantastic conversation with both of you, Saigit and Samyukta. Absolutely had a brilliant time. A lot of insights shared. Um, so there's questions coming in from Shreyas and Geeta. Geeta, your questions has we're completely out of time to take these questions. But please reach out to Saigit and Samyukta. Their Instagram handles have been shared, so you can reach out to them and they'll help you out. All right. But thanks once again. It's been beautiful to have you guys back. And I remember interacting with you all quite a lot more than Saigit, with Samyukta a lot,
Yeah.
and with her and her folks as well. And it's been great seeing you again. And hopefully we'll see you again on Saturday when
Yes.
the DQ students and parents and the DQ team visits. Yeah.
Yes.
With
Sounds
that, we end. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are participating, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up. That give us a reaction, because this helps spreading the word. Yeah. Um, Thanks a lot once again.